By the end of this video, you will be good at switching between those chords you just learned. Remember, we want to be as lazy as possible when switching between chords, meaning we only do as much work as we need to. Before we play through the chord matrix in the next video, I'll show you real quick how to switch between each chord the easy way. I would encourage you to pause and practice these movements as needed. The goal is to switch to the next chord in one fluid motion rather than moving individual fingers. Just like last week, all we have to do to switch from E to A is move our second and third fingers down a string towards the floor together at the same time, and then add our pinky on below them in one fluid motion. Get good at this before moving on. This switch is super easy, E to B7. All we have to do is move our first finger up a string and your ring finger down a string, and then add our pinky on. See if you can do it in one fluid motion. Make sure you get good at it before we move on. All right, E to the first kind of C sharp minor. Here we just move our middle finger. E to the first kind of C sharp minor that we learned today. Super easy. All we have to do is move our middle finger down a string and add our pinky on. Our first finger stays where it's at. From E to the second kind of C sharp minor, the only thing we have even a little bit in common is that our ring finger does not change strings. So I want you to practice sliding over to the 6th fret from the 2nd fret a couple of times. Now, move your first finger up and have it land in the 4th string by the time that your ring finger gets to the 6th string. Okay, let's add our pinky into the mix. And last but not least, let's move that middle finger down and have it land at the same time. Get really good at this before moving on. For E switching to the third kind of C sharp minor, we just switch to B7 and then slide our hand over. All right, A to B7. For this switch, we just move our second finger a string towards the sky, our pinky towards the floor, and we add our first finger on. All right. In order to switch from A to the first kind of C sharp minor, all we have to do is leave our middle finger where it is, then put our first finger and our pinky where they're supposed to go at the same time, like this. For A to the second kind of C sharp minor, our third and fourth fingers move up a string as they move over 4 frets. So this is the big important movement here. And then we can add in the other ones, like this. All right, A to the third way we play C sharp minor is exactly the same as the switch to B7, just with the extra step of sliding over 2 frets. All right, last but not least, we need to learn how to switch from B7 to C sharp minor in all of the ways. B7 to the first kind of C sharp minor, our first and second fingers move down a string each, so this is the big important movement, and then our pinky moves to its spot. For B7 to the second kind of C sharp minor, our pinky and ring fingers slide up to their spots as we scoot over 4 frets. So it's kind of like A to this one, other than our fingers start in different spots. And then we add the other 2 in. And last but not least, B7 to the third kind of C sharp minor, all we do is slide over. It's super easy. None of our fingers change strings at all, even a little bit. All right, you don't have to be perfect at this, but once you feel fairly comfortable with them, head over to the next video and play through the chord matrix.